This is the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. And this morning we're going to look at producing our YouTube videos. My name is Lola Ann, and in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs stay focused and motivated as we take their business to the next level with some simple structures and some pretty easy technology. We'll be right back after this. Greetings wherever you are, and welcome to Being Your Own CEO. This is a weekly success circle intended as a support for solopreneurs. We get together because we enjoy each other's company, but we also like exchanging ideas and information and doing some experimenting, trying new things. We all give and receive support. You can discover what we stand for by viewing the operating principles on the webpage. So I want to welcome any viewers that might be out there and invite them to check in by telling us that they're there and what you do, and in the comments section. And now this morning we're going to begin by having the panel members introduce themselves. We're going to say their name and where they are in this world, and briefly tell us what they do and anything that is new and exciting in their business world. So let's see. Bill, since we haven't seen you for quite a while, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be back. My name is Bill Graham. I'm coming to you now from Innisfil in Ontario, Canada, a few latitudinal lines north of where I used to be, but I'm happy to be back.
Oh, and what are you up to?
Well, I'm, as always, working on the next project, and I'm not really ready to talk about it yet, but very soon.
Aha, okay.
As always, very soon.
Well, and just by way for anybody who may not be aware of this, the whole sort of introductory piece that I've been using for a while was developed by Bill. So he seems to be able to figure out how to manage a whole lot of different platforms and come up with interesting products. So looking forward to the next project, Bill.
Thank you.
Right on. Vivek, how would you like to go next?
Namaste. My name is Vivek. VicTechnology.com is my brand. And unify, simplify, amplify life is my aim. I unify different technologies to make it simple for you to use. I handle the sophistication while you enjoy the simplicity of it all. Push few buttons and things happen. So, yeah, presently I'm in England. Today it has been quite a warm day, although it is cloudy, but it's been quite a warm day.
Mm.
It used to, morning was quite cold. In fact, I did turn on the heater a little bit
Mm.
and then turn it off. Now it is the other way.
Mm.
It's a bit warmer than what, it's 25 degrees centigrade.
Oh, that's quite warm. Yeah.
Strange, but
So, and while we're at it, one of the ways that Vivek has helped to simplify my life is that he created a thing that we dubbed Chipmunk, and that's how everybody gets their notifications of and the links of this this Success Circle session. So I just really appreciate having that.
thank you.
It's been really fun to be a beta tester.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. So
Thank you.
and
Glad to be here.
I think you're gonna share something later that will also sort of talk
Yeah.
about that a little bit. Right on. So let's see. What about Fred? How are you doing today? And are you still in Oak Bay?
Yes, I am in Oak Bay, which is part of Victoria, although I'm moving to Langford this afternoon. So I'll be in Langford for a few weeks and then back in Oak Bay later on in the month until October. I'll be dog sitting, pet sitting there.
Hmm.
I move around a lot, if you notice. I'm a nomad. I just call myself a nomad. I just got back from a boat trip with 4 other friends from the late 1950s, early 1960s. We were in Scouts together, so almost 60 years. In fact, in some cases, it is 60 years since we've known each other. It is wonderful. Friends are so important in life, and these ones are extremely important because we've known each other for almost 60 years. And our ex-Scoutmaster came from Toronto, flew in. He's 88 years old. And it was wonderful to see him and share the 4.5, 5 days on the boat as we went. We were in the different islands between Vancouver Island and the mainland near Vancouver. So we were at Wallis Island one night, Salt Spring Island for a couple of nights, Thetis Island for another night, came back yesterday, so I only got back. But it was just an amazing experience. We enjoy it so much. I can highly recommend just keeping friendships like that. It's just extremely valuable.
Oh, that is so cool. Now tell us what you're up to in terms of your business now. If you were out on the water, you probably didn't do anything last week.
No, I didn't, but it's starting up again. I did see an email from one of the groups that meets on Friday evenings, and one of the young ladies, about 14, sent out, say, hey, we're going to meet on Friday. Let us know if you're coming. So it's starting up again, which is exciting. And so as I think some people may know, I'm Fred Jones. I'm the creator of Our Future Leaders, which is a cutting-edge online group session for young people, help them with their communication skills, leadership skills, and give them self-confidence to cope with what the world is about to give them in the world. It's a challenging world they're facing. It's changing so quickly. So, and to help them become the leaders that we need in this world, this very rapidly changing world. So it's a lot of fun. I have hundreds of young people who call me Fred. So I've got young friends and old friends from 60 years ago, and from, some of them are only 9 years old, the ones that who call me Fred. It's a wonderful thing. Enjoy it.
Oh, I love it. Well, you know that as we age, isolation is probably one of the worst things that we can do to ourselves.
Well,
so if that's if your work is any indication, you're going to live to be 130.
No, I said it's 145.
Oh, is it 100?
Yeah, not 130. 145.
Right on. dear. Maybe at some point we'll all be saying, I'm just going to live forever. So happy that you made it here, Fred. And I love your story about getting together with your old scout troop. That's so cool. So now I see whoever, I think the next person who came on was Nancy. How are you today, Nancy?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Lola?
Absolutely awesome.
Great. Well, it's been really nice listening to everybody introduce themselves, and Fred, that even in my, according to my line of work, being on the water is a really excellent place to be for healing and rebalancing and regrouping, just to just step back into your routine and getting things going again. So, and I don't know, like, what a nomad. It's pretty amazing that you continue each place you go to keep the connections going and to keep things moving. But anyway, I'm Nancy Kreitz. I'm located in Victoria, BC, Canada. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, supplementation specialist, meditation, and Qigong teacher. And I help people who are overwhelmed in the search for a natural health solution achieve optimal health and wellness simply. And what if less is more in terms of having too many supplement bottles in your cupboard, which most people, I think, are perhaps a little bit guilty of. So that's what I do.
Right on. Now, don't forget to mention your Qigong classes coming up.
Oh, and I have a Qigong class starting here in Victoria, British Columbia, in the Fairfield Community Center, September 26th, 6 p.m.
And I'm going.
I'm so happy. That'll be wonderful to have you in our circle of light and joy and community. Chi Joy community. Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Olan.
Right on. So glad you made it this morning. And Alana, I think you were next, although I'm not sure. So, but,
okay,
please.
I'll take it. I'll take the conch.
Take the conch.
I'll take the conch. Greetings, everyone. My name is Alana Birmingham, coming to you from Ireland, and my company is ALB Digital Marketing Services, where I help people with their websites, and I help webmasters and web designers and small businesses that basically don't want to maintain their website. So I do the back end work for them so they don't have to. And Fred, I can definitely speak to your goal of keeping friends forever, because as you were talking, I was thinking about my friends in the States that I have known since high school, and we are the same gang we were back then. And every time I go back to the States, they're the guys I always get together with, you know, and they're always at the top of my list. And yeah, it's fantastic to keep them. I've known those guys probably, I want to say 40 years, I think, 40 years. I don't want to age myself too much. And Nancy, I wish I could go to your Qigong class. I would love to go. I wish I was on that side of the world to attend.
Well, me too. And I'm really excited about today's discussion, because my goal, as we're working through Mira's projects and whatnot, is to have a weekly Qigong video that I post to my list. So you might want to hop on my list.
I hope you'll share it with us as well, so that we can check it out as well.
Yeah, you can be you can critique it for me, but hey, I've got a lot to learn, so I'm excited.
Well, not necessarily to critique, just to learn more about it.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Just from an informative point of view, I would like to know more about it and what it does and all that sort of thing.
Wonderful. How can we get in touch? Because I'd like to just get your email address, and then I'll just send you a link so you can just have a look at what's going on.
Yeah, you know what? I will share that after the show, if that's okay.
Yeah, great. Good idea.
Right on.
Thanks.
Oh, wow. What's for supper, Alana?
Leftover cottage pie.
And what's cottage pie?
Okay, so cottage pie is an Irish dish that I think everyone else calls it shepherd's pie.
Okay.
But in Ireland, it's called cottage pie, and it's normally made with minced lamb but I couldn't find any. You don't really get it this time of year. You usually just get minced lamb around springtime. But yeah, it's going to be with hamburger. It's hamburger. I made it yesterday, so it's left over for tonight.
Right on.
I'm not cooking today. Woohoo!
Yes, that's the beauty of leftovers, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right.
It's always way better the second day too.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that's true. Right on. Well, I'm glad you made it, Alana, because today is your topic.
Uh-oh. Good thing I got back from Dublin in time. Wow. Okay.
Right on. Okay, so the next in the film strip is Nathan. What's new with you, Nathan? Oh, what's that?
Well, more of the same at this point. Coming to you from Buenos Aires, Nayarit, Mexico. The developments decided to go back to a career that I've been in for a very long time, which is it's tempting to call it freelance writing. No, I'm going to go beyond that. It's course creation, which is something I've been doing for 20 years. And what I've been doing is putting out the feelers for it. Actually, I wound up with a curious incident. There's a guy that I met in a marketing group who introduced me to a fellow by the name of Scott Patton. And one of the things we're doing is we're creating short courses on Udemy. It's like, if you have an idea for a course, a lot of people just build it and there are all these modules. But what we're doing is something much simpler, just doing maybe one and a short course of like 60 to 90 minutes with a call to action at the end of it, which would then go to your landing page on your site. So rather than building a full-blown course, which could take a lot of effort and time and money, just building one piece of it and then putting it out there and see what kind of response we're getting. So I'm building one for myself on course generation. Oh. And just marketing that, and also just talking to people, different people I've been meeting, and just I used to have a partnership thing, was called a joint venture with Grow Corporation, and we're in the process of renewing that. So we'll see how it goes. So just different stuff like that. But what I'm looking at is partnerships with people rather than like onesies or twosies of work.
And you mentioned Udemy, and
Yes.
a few of us here in Victoria are playing with Thinkific.
Yep, I know about it. That's the other platform that I was mentioned, and I'm probably going to learn how to put my courses up on there and see what they have to offer. That's actually came up again this morning, not by name, but in terms of creating course content and just having it on multiple platforms.
Right on.
Because there's so many different marketplaces, like for example, Envato and Tuts Plus and other sites like that.
Oh.
For getting content out there. What was the other one called? Etsy. So different sites for getting your material out there, because there are a lot of platforms, not just one. And of course, lynda.com, but I don't know what the requirements are for that.
Wow. So lots more to do and learn, eh, Nathan?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, a lot of pretty much old hat to me, because I've done it for so long. But it's just to build a foundation so I have the income that I need to do my other stuff going with the public speaking, because I just need to do that. The interesting thing is that when I started studying all the successful people I know, every single one of them has a back end. Every single one of them is selling courses in one way or another. And I also realized that if I really work on the back end, I could be more successful with my back end than the speaking itself. So it was just, it was kind of a surprise. But when I looked, it's like, oh, well, it's obvious what I need to do now. So that's what's going on.
Right on. Well, glad you made it. And last but not least, Jay, I see two things up there for you. Have you got two things open?
JJ in the house.
I thought I was
how I rule you.
Double. There's also David. I think David didn't introduce.
Oh, yes.
It had prompted me to update, and then everything just kind of, the internet broke. So, but anyways, one of these days I'll figure out this internet stuff.
How was your holiday?
Oh, it was good. It was great. I'm already wanting to go back.
Already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm
because it's cold and wet now.
Yeah, I mean, like, talk about a yin and yang. So, although it's sunny here in Langford.
Oh, yes, of course.
What about you? But
ask me if I believe that.
Yeah. Anyways, my name is Jay. My company is Magi Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Happy to be here, hailing from Langford, small little community just outside of Victoria, and ready to learn there, Coach.
Right. And small little community, Langford is starting to outgrow Victoria, I think. Well, it is part.
You can escape from Victoria, so.
And it is in terms of postal service and everything, it is known as being part of Victoria.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
How many municipalities do we have here? 15 or 8?
Too many.
18 or something?
Too many.
It's crazy. So I'm glad you made it this morning, Jay. And David, yes, I did forget you because I have, the way my screen shows up, I have to flip back and forth to make sure I see everybody. So tell us about you.
My name is Dave Flannery. I'm running two things right at the moment. One's affordable websites for small businesses, and another is United Country Stock Valley Realty Team Flannery in real estate agent. Unfortunately, I have to say all of that for the real estate because I have to include the main company, the broker, and then what we are.
Wow.
I can't just go Team Flannery. I'm here. I'm helping Loanne with monitoring the chat, and right now I show no one in there.
All right, we're all in here.
Yeah.
It looks like. So thank you, David, for taking that role and keeping an eye out for me. I appreciate that. So this morning we were going to talk about producing your own YouTube video. So what needs to happen before, what needs to happen during, and what needs to happen after. And there are some specific things that need to happen in all three of those places. Now we're and let's assume that we're creating the video from within YouTube. I think is probably the best. Although I guess you can. I have done several times. I've created videos just using the software that goes with my webcam, and then saved it and then uploaded it to YouTube. So,
and that might be a good place to start. Is what kind of videos can you do? I mean, you can do a new walking around town video on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You can do something to promote or to do whatever, create a video ahead of time that you can edit or you can do whatever with, and you can upload it to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a production similar to yours where, believe me, there's a lot more involved in it, but ultimately it gets uploaded to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the medium you're going to use,
and depends on why you're doing it, what it is you're doing it, and why you're doing it.
Exactly. I mean, if I'm out sharing my day and it's something relevant to my niche, and for me to throw up a video on my phone of what I'm doing right now is certainly appropriate. But for me to try and maybe do a tutorial on something with my phone all shaky and you know what I mean, probably not appropriate. So I think that's a consideration. What type of video are you making?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing is that so you need to be really clear about what the topic is and why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And there are lots of, yeah, and I guess we sort of skipped over, Bill. Lots of people are doing a bunch of things over on Facebook, and their intent is they just do it on Facebook and it stays there. So
Yeah.
So
and again, the type of videos they're doing is, again, I mean, they're not going out typically sharing with their phone if they're advertising a product or service.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So again,
Right.
And you may want to use all of the different things.
Most of the Facebook groups that I have seen, in fact, the networking group that I attend here, the real life business networking, even they have a Facebook group, and every I think it is Saturday, they have a Facebook live thing. But that still is very much very inferior to what you get in real life situation, because a person goes online Facebook live, he keeps talking, and other people are supposed to put comments on the comment stream, and he or she will talk about those comments, but that's all. It's one person on the screen and talking away.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily true. You can get other people on there with you, and if you use a third-party program such as BeLive, which will link in with Facebook Live, you can have, I believe, up to 4 people live on a show at any given time. It's not as limited as you think. But I mean, a major reason for doing Facebook Lives is that you want the interaction, and you want the comments, and you want to have an audience. I'll give you an extreme example as to why you want to do it. When I formed a group which is called Silencing the Noisy Mind, I started doing Facebook Lives. By the 3rd or 4th one, I had 2 polar opposite comments on my video after it was done. One was from someone who I thought was a friend who then became a hater and decided to try and rip me a new one. And at the same time, the other polar opposite comment came from a woman who said, "Hey, I was told about you, and I really like your presentation style." And she said, "How would you like to do a TED Talk?" You never know who's watching. And I was absolutely amazed by what I saw. It's like, you're kidding me, right? But it turned out to be for real. And I've met the organizer here in Puerto Vallarta, and that's going to happen in November, December area. So the Facebook Lives, they definitely serve a purpose. And as I said, you never know who's watching.
Yeah, I was not talking about whether it works or not. I was talking about a particular implementation that they have done. So
yeah, the video is not that great on Facebook Live. I agree with you. I've had many problems with it, especially from Wi-Fi, and it literally breaks up into fragments all over the place. It looks bloody awful. Yeah. The audio seems to be intact for the most part, but the video breaks up all the time. And there have been times when I've literally been sitting right beside my modem on my smartphone, and it still breaks up. Go figure.
So I guess the one of the things that needs to happen prior to is deciding what platform you're going to use, and then making sure that you have a good connection. We all know that Wi-Fi can tend to be somewhat unstable, so making sure that you have a wired connection, and that you've got a good camera and a good mic, and all of those kind of technical things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, many people are also using OBS as a way of connecting through Facebook Live. I tried to set it up. I couldn't get the video to work, and maybe in Windows 10 I might be able to, but it's just not been important enough that I've wanted to do it. But OBS has a function too, as well as BeLive, which is the other one.
Yeah.
And there's many platforms that allow you to do that, whether it's third party or it's Facebook or it's Google but actually setting up, I mean, getting back to that part of the topic, I mean, one of the first things, I guess, is you have to have some kind of a topic or some kind of reason to share a video that's helpful with your that's helpful to your channel for some reason, or for whatever. I'm assuming we're going to YouTube or to Facebook or that type of a thing to our community.
That's true. The topic is key, but even more than the topic, it really depends. Like if you're doing something short and sweet where you can do a Facebook Live thing, that's probably fine. But if you're planning to do something larger, I would go back to my training in animation and so on. And what you would probably want to do is either create like an outline or a storyboard. And that's typically what's done if you're creating a larger kind of thing. You need to plan it out. And in terms of doing the video, the way that I would do it, what I learned from animation is, if it's something that you know really well, where you can do a presentation like this, because I do a lot of desktop video, where I'm demonstrating something. If it's something you know really well and you can demonstrate as well as speak, great. But if you can't, the other way is to write out a video script where you detail everything, you work it out, then you record the script using voice only. And then later you add the video content in the form of either motion video or slideshows. And I've done a lot of that over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it certainly is, especially when you're starting out, to be really clear about your topic and what you want to cover, etc.
But also be concise, and
yes,
there's no value in having a 6-minute video that's 2 minutes of fluff. The 4-minute video is gonna be received, in my opinion, better overall.
And you're right about that, Bill.
Yeah, and I think once you've established your audience and they come every week or they come every Tuesday and Thursday and see you'll get away with some of that stuff. But I think in general, just trying to be concise, get your point. Unlike what I'm doing now, be concise, get your point across.
Well, but I mean,
is this being videoed?
Yeah. But we have talked. Well, Jay, you've actually mentioned a few times in some of your WA training, in terms of for good SEO on your website, is how important it is to have videos on your website. And I mean, some of them, again, this is getting back to purpose. I mean, you might just do a video that introduces yourself, so that the viewer coming to your website kind of gets a sense of your personality. I mean, it could be as simple as that. Or it could be something much more educational, etc. But so the first thing is what's the purpose? What is it I want to do, and why do I want to do it, and where do I want to do it? And there's a couple of other things, or one other thing that I maybe this is just me and my age, but I've seen a number of sessions or videos of people doing things where they don't pay much attention to their surroundings, the room that they're in, and where their source of light is, and I mean, you can notice that some of us here have a green screen, some of us don't, but and it's not necessary to have a green screen. But it is necessary to have, a pleasing kind of visual, something that's in tune with what you're doing. So, who's giggling?
I'm giggling at Jay's. I'm sorry, I should be muted while I'm giggling, but I'm giggling at Jay's Vanna presentation of his background.
Right. So but all of those things are considerations. So, have we covered everything that we need to cover pre-show, or have we missed anything? Anybody? Jay?
Okay, so we're talking about pre, right? Okay, so I think we've covered, have a concise topic and all that kind of stuff. What about preparation for you being the broadcaster? I think it's really important that whether it's you're doing a live video or a recorded video, you want to make sure that you're mentally prepared and physically prepared. So that being said, if you're on a green screen, don't wear green. If you are if you're going to be sharing this to the world, have some sort of, make yourself look presentable, right? Just little simple things like that. What I do before my webinars is I always prepare my voice. So I have a specific drink that I actually drink before, which is it's green tea, honey, and a tiny bit of cayenne pepper.
Oh.
And what kind of beer?
Yeah, well, that's post.
That's post.
Yeah, we'll get to that part soon. Yeah, so because in my webinars, I'm talking for over an hour.
Mm-hmm.
By myself, not interacting so much with not having a conversation where I get to pause. So it's important that my voice is doesn't die on me within the 57th minute kind of thing. So I have that. I drink a little mug of that, and then I have a glass of water or some sort of drink beside me,
Mm-hmm.
and I just stealthily drink that when I do scene changes.
Right.
So there you go. There's
we've seen Jay drinking Google juice.
Google juice. Yeah.
Well, and in addition to the host being prepared, I mean, if you have a guest coming on, that's a whole other duty in your week to make sure that that person can join the platform, that person knows everything that Jay just said in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
And prepare you. I mean, because your guest is the person that you're trying to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that guest gets highlighted as best as you can.
Yeah. So if you have Elon Musk host coming to your show, make sure you let him know that he's going to be smoking marijuana. So I don't know if you saw that last week. He was on the Joe Rogan Experience show, and he's like,
"Oh, really?
It's legal, right? Legal, right?" He's like poking this. I guess you call it a blunt. It's just like a cigar with tobacco and marijuana and stuff.
Well.
Tesla shares just go down and stuff. It's pretty funny. So, I mean, there's a great example of shock factor.
Mm-hmm.
So so I think it's really important. And test your equipment. Like if you have hardware, and if you have lighting and your microphone, test all of that stuff. Test the levels and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your software. I mean, Lolan, every week with the production that you have, you have to go back and make sure that everything hasn't jumped its sizing or.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah.
I don't know if that's helping Alana to actually prepare a video, but it can give you some indication of, depending on the type of video, how much preparation may have to go into.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, in line with that, preparing your computer, like shut everything down that you don't need. I know a lot of people that keep 18 and 20 tabs open in their browser all the time. And
and probably all of this can be summed up with a very good checklist.
Yes.
Yeah. I do what's called a RAM flush on my Mac, which it's an app that it clears the cache.
Nice.
So all the RAM is actually dedicated to the software that I'm using to run the webinars. So
Never heard of anything like that for Windows, but then again, you never know. First time I've heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of Mac, right? I mean, for anyone that's on a Mac, I use something called Memory Clean 2.
You don't have to convince me about the virtues of Macs. I do know.
We have Task Manager with Windows 10, Nathan. I think is about the best you're going to get.
Yeah, I think you can use that.
Probably right. Yeah, Task Manager. Yeah, for sure. That's true.
So now somebody mentioned a checklist. I have pages of checklists that I use for my setup. We talked about that before. I guess it was Vivek and I talked about that. I use that checklist every time I do my setup. and
Nice.
I do the setup. Now I've done it so many times now that I probably don't need it, but I usually do go back and just I've done it, but I go back and look at the checklist to make sure that I haven't forgotten something. So
Yeah, and
it's
if
during
nothing
this.
else, I mean, it's fine when you're setting up a show on Tuesday morning and you do everything the same way you did it last week and the week before and the
Yeah.
month before, and then this week all of a sudden the phone rings
Yes.
and you leave and come back and that whole rhythm is broken. It's very easy to forget that one
One
little
little
thing that'll
thing.
drive you crazy. Maybe nobody else will notice it, but
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
there is another side to this whole thing. Is I've been on quite a number of podcasts and radio shows, and also I've been working as a part-time as a tutor. And man, the situations I've been encountering are pretty wild with sound, but just showing up on different shows and the way that people are.
Mm-hmm.
It can you never know what you're going to encounter. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
So yes, being I guess to sum all that up is just to be organized.
Yep.
I was going to
as much
say,
as you can be.
Yeah.
I was going to say the first item on the checklist is to always check the checklist.
Yeah. Right. No kidding.
Start with the checklist.
Yes. And I do. I really do follow that checklist. And Vivek was suggesting that I, instead of using the paper, why don't I just create it within Google Keep?
I'm
Yeah.
not particularly suggesting that you replace it with that. I was saying an alternative way of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things I was talking about was having a checklist and ticking items off that checklist is known to give you a dopamine hit. Every time you tick an item on your checklist,
that's that
you get
satisfaction
ready
of completion. Yeah.
Yeah.
dopamine.
Feels
And
good.
the great thing about Keep is you could do your whole show on it, check everything off. They just disappear to the bottom, and then for next week you just click them all, and they all come back, and you redo it again. It's
That was exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So these are some of the practical things. One thing that I would also suggest, if you're interviewing somebody, yes, helping them make sure that they're prepared for the technology parts. But I usually send them a list of the possible questions. I don't always ask all of the questions, but I send them a list of the possible questions that I may ask. And that allows them to think through how they would respond to that. So that's another way to get them prepared. And I have...
Maybe in addition to that, a request of something that they would like to be asked that they want
Yes.
to cover in the show. Because
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have found that some people that I've interviewed, they have received that list of questions and they sat down and wrote out what their answer would be and sent it back to me. And that was really useful for me because as I looked at all these things, I could sort of say, oh, well, that piece there is really interesting. That I need to focus on that. So, preparing your guests if you're interviewing is a really important thing.
But all of that being said, no matter how well you try and prepare guests and that type of thing, you're always going to have guests that don't have time for the pre-show. They don't have time for this. They don't have time for that. They want to show up 10 minutes before. So you have to do the best you can with what you have.
What you get. Yeah,
and sometimes you get really awful guests. And when I was working with a partner on a podcast, we literally had to trash several of our interviews because the guests were so awful. And the experience with them, and even when we tried to fix it in the interview itself, the guests simply wouldn't let us do it.
Nathan, what do you mean by awful? Are you
Awful,
just
yeah.
inexperienced, or did they
What
have
I'm talking
Tourette's,
about,
or-
yeah, that's a good question. I'm referring to speaking style,
Mm.
or like there was one guy in particular, he wouldn't even let us get a word in edgewise. We couldn't even speak to him because he was too busy on this one-way track that he was on,
Mhm.
and he wouldn't even let us ask him questions. And it was really obvious that he, well, I don't know, it was a very strange dynamic, but we had to trash the interview. There have been other times that we've had guests who are so, it's a strange thing to say, but they treat us like we're underlings and that they're in charge of the show, and we're just somehow there to, I don't know, give them the limelight. It's been a really weird experience.
I think it's a typical thing when people, like when you approach other people for an interview, excuse me, they tend to be, and if people tend to think that they're an authority within the figure or within their industry, they tend
And throw you within the figure. I like that, Jay.
when they have they're an authority within their industry,
Yeah.
that they tend to be like that. But you know, like the reason why I kind of interjected is I think, you know, using the word awful is subjective, right? So
It is subjective. Well, it was for us. One of the things that would happen is if we, which was an ongoing problem, is people who had been on too many radio shows. The experience felt like talking with a robot. You'd ask them a question, and they would just spout out an answer, but it just felt like it was all pre-rehearsed. There was no spontaneous response.
I got to ask, I wonder if that's a byproduct or a possible byproduct of broadcasting, that video maybe alleviates, because you see each other, and if you have a host that can energize a conversation, then seeing that host kind of energize, it's pretty hard to be glum and gloomy when the other person is bouncing around and excited about what you're doing.
It wasn't that. It wasn't that, Bill. What I was referring to is that a canned response, basically. They've given so many interviews that the spontaneity and the aliveness was gone.
It loses its authenticity, is the word.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if I'd use the word authenticity. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the interaction, the aliveness was not there.
Vivek.
Are we concentrating on interviewing people?
No, we're not.
It's just one topic.
Right.
That.
It's just one aspect. So I think we've kind of covered as much as we need to on how to get prepared. So now what about what do we need to consider during the broadcast?
Location, lighting, you know.
Can I share a few pictures?
Sure.
And explain what I typically do. This is what Alana asked last week about the video and so on. Let me share a couple of pictures of my hardware setup, really. Screen.
And while you're doing that, you're going to see what Vivek is going to show, and we did. I think we did say something about that in the pre-show. If you have two screens, life is a whole lot easier.
Yeah, this is my hardware setup. I wonder whether you can see my mouse moving around.
Yeah.
So this is my monitor on my left-hand side, on which the webcam sits, and this is a slideshow, and I make use of the slide notes. I typically read what's shown here, and on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side is the actual thing that gets recorded. This is the monitor, other monitor.
Yes.
So I look at this and read. So since it is right under this webcam, viewers will see that I'm talking to the camera. Not really, but yes. And then this is what you typically see. I use, this is the 2-monitor setup. This portion of the screen gets recorded. I have myself here on the screen, and this is the slide that people see. This is what they see, and I read it, but read it in such a way that people don't feel that I'm actually reading it. That comes by practice, nothing else. So
That's really well laid out, Vivek. Are you using Google Slides or PowerPoint?
this is Google Slides, and these are the slide notes. And typically, this is actually a screenshot. So I would be typically reading this and then hitting this next slide button. When the next slide appears here and the slide notes appear here, and I read that and keep going, keep hitting the next button and keep reading it. Since what I'm reading is captured by this webcam, it looks as if I'm talking to the camera, but I'm actually reading the slide notes. So that helped me keep the whole thing short, to the point, and with all drama if I want to enact in front of the webcam, but I'm actually reading from.
So I actually have my system set up in a similar way, and I use the Google slides as well. It's Google Slides. Once you've got the slide done, you do the notes, and then there's a way to select the speaker notes that you can bring up and put them right under your camera, so that becomes your notes. I know there is software out there that allows you your speaking notes to rotate and etc. But
that makes it more complicated.
This is much simpler. Yeah,
not required. The only additional sophistication, I would like to call it, is that I add my camera feed using a different software. You can use your webcam software to do that, and bring my own picture by the side of it. So that's what you saw in the video which I shared last week.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some techniques to keep yourself organized even while you're broadcasting. That's for sure. I don't think I've ever done a vlog or any kind of video without using those speaker notes from Google Sheets. Yeah, not Sheets, Slides. I would say the wrong word first. So, any other techniques for during the broadcast?
Well, Jay seems to have location and lighting highlighted pretty well.
Yeah, he's showing us his studio.
So yeah, I figured since we're sharing studio shots, I'd show you my setup. So I mean, I'm all about having really good lighting when it comes to doing the live broadcast, and that's because of the green screen. It's important to have really good, clear, concise lighting. So so we got those 3 sets there. So 1, 2, 3. So 2 two on the sides, right? And
Mhm.
they're almost pointing at me, but not quite. They're more pointing towards the wall. The one
Yeah.
up here at the top is pointing down towards me, so it gets a backfill. And then I have a ring light, which is right there,
Yeah.
which is like just a big LED light, and that's the one that shines directly on me. I also have a webcam, but it's also on a swing arm, so I can control it anywhere that I want. So I'm not restricted to having it locked on top of my screen or my laptop. I also have a secondary webcam if I need it, which is right there on the tripod.
Right.
And in terms of my audio, I have two types of audio. I have a wireless system, and then I also have, I'll go get it. What's called a lapel mic, which is that. So that just actually hooks right into my computer, and it just clips right onto me, and then that's good to go. I also have a wireless.
Lavalier, right?
Pardon me?
Lavalier mic, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, and and then I make sure that all other lighting is off, so that all the lighting is directed here, and you don't have any kind of weird shadows. That's why I close my drapes or my blinds, and then I also have a carpet in here. I mean, it's hardwood flooring, but I also have, see, there's a carpet there, and that actually helps with the sound, dampening the sound.
So is that your
Because
living
you don't want to
room?
have echo. Huh?
Is that in your living
What's
room?
that?
It's pretty good mood lighting in your living room there.
No, this is actually a dedicated video studio.
Yeah, I'm teasing. But how about for us? How about for us low tech guys? Like, all I'm interested in is a really good stand for my iPhone. And I got some tips last week on a great speaker, microphone. So that's good. But the next step is, I'm looking at my living room for recording or outside qigong stuff. In the woods.
What I showed was pretty much beginning setup.
Yeah.
And the only thing you do need to have is, if you are using your computer, it's always better to have two screens, not just one.
Yeah, I can see that's a great. And this morning I'm trying that. I'm sorry if I seem rude. I've got this on my iPhone so I can type notes. Here's my hand. Sorry about that.
Well, and in terms of lighting and such, I find the same thing. I need to draw my drapes because there's too much light coming from one side. So I have a lamp, circle lamp that I point at the wall, and that bounces light back. And then I have another lamp off to the side. So the lighting seems to, in this corner, seems to work reasonably well. Yeah.
And inadvertently, you're following the basics. I mean, the basics of lighting is that you have two lights.
Yes.
You have a key light, you have a fill light.
Yeah.
You usually have them a little bit higher than I have mine because you don't want them shining in your glasses.
Yes.
I'm doing this for demonstration purposes only.
Yes.
Then the other lights, as you get more into things, like the hair light will, Low-Land, when you're using a backdrop, will help get rid of those little those frizzles that happen around our images.
Yes.
And then, of course, lighting the backdrop and yourself properly. But getting started, if you can just get two lamps on either side of you, 45 degrees off, enough, one to light your face, the other one to kill. And here I can show you the difference is that, see how one side of my face has gotten dark?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and I probably shut off the key light, not the fill light. So it just gets rid of those shadows and
but
that's exactly how I started too. Just a couple lamps.
Yeah.
Exactly,
But there is
Back in Hawaii.
Look at that. He
Yeah.
he moves so quickly, that guy. He travels through time like
Yeah.
boom.
So then the other thing, the other piece is important, and that is the glare in your glasses.
Oh,
Because when you're looking at the screen, yeah, you have to be careful with that, because if your glasses are glaring, it really distorts everything.
And it's a distraction too. I mean, you can just angle them slightly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
from the side, it doesn't look very smart. But from the front, maybe not.
Yeah.
It does.
So-
But
so with
the
recording
point
at
is get
night-
those lights up a little bit.
so if you're like myself, just like in my house, would recording at night be best? Because I mean, it's dark out. You can really control the light much more effectively. No?
Experiment. Just do some
Yeah,
experimenting. Yeah.
It's yes and no, because sometimes a harsh fluorescent light is a lot worse than any light that you can grab coming through a window. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm much more tanned normally than this, so.
Yeah, I mean, part of what you're talking about is full spectrum lighting,
exactly.
and looking for bulbs that offer that. Now, I remember looking at that with the LED type lights, but I found that even the full spectrum lighting cast a really harsh kind of feeling. And what it really came down to is, so the best kind of lighting to actually get, from what I could tell, was the old work lamps with the tungsten lighting. Those are harder and harder to find. And with the autocorrect, auto white balance on the cameras, they tend to correct for the light cast. But I discovered that ideally, those are actually the best ones to have. The old incandescents, parchment paper. Yeah, that
Nice
would be
little filter.
yeah, like for a filter. But yeah, I mean, since I'm not able to make use of lighting in that way, I'm sitting here with a window with natural light coming in. That's the only way. That's why part of my face is sort of shadowed, is because of the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the best I can do traveling,
Yeah.
There are limitations when you're on the road, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's certainly working today. I mean,
Yeah.
No problem.
No,
So
you've
as
got
long
a
as the
healthy
sun's
glow,
up.
Nathan. You've got a healthy glow.
but Lana, that's something else to think about, is the lighting. And if you're out just with your phone, try and get the sun behind you as opposed to
In front of you. Yeah. Yeah. But I think even when you're working within your studio, and especially if you're working with a laptop, you need to, make sure that you've got your camera angled in such a way that the camera's not pointing up at you. And Nancy, I know you're using your phone right now, but that's what's happening with yours right now is your camera is looking up at your face, and you want to be in a position where you're face on with your camera.
Agreed. That came up in doing some of the Udemy videos, but the trouble is, for me, if I'm trying to do image manipulation work, I can't work that way, because what I'm doing is elevating my laptop. Now, I'm really lucky with my camera. There's only a slight angle to it. Still, valid point, Lola.
Yeah, it is.
It was, I think Dell came up with that weird design of having the laptop camera at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. They have one that pops up right in the number keys now, and I'm thinking, like, who would use that?
No kidding.
Nice feature, but
yeah.
Well,
And I
thank you.
mean, if you're working with a laptop, I mean, sometimes I did some experimenting this week with my laptop, and I went to various surfaces within the house to see what was the best. Was it better on a table, higher table, or could I put books under the laptop or whatever? So it does require a bit of experimentation. Yeah.
I am using a laptop, but I am using 2 external monitors and a external webcam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
that's I got that at IKEA, So I can actually just prop up my laptop
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted to on this, and it actually works quite well. It was like $4 or something like that.
Yeah.
IKEA.
Yeah, exactly. But this is why I have
short for stack of books.
Yeah, that's right. This is why I have that swing arm so that I can, I can move this
You can
thing
do
anywhere
things. Yeah.
I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nathan, when you said something about full spectrum lighting, that is the lamp that I have that's pointed at the wall is a full spectrum light.
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging to find those lights. You have to go to specialty stores, or you might have to look on Amazon to see if you can find it. But
Isn't it the color temperature they talk about?
Yeah,
Yeah,
5500 to 6500K is the recommended
6500K is what I use.
but it's
And in
also-
Canada, you can get 55 very easily at Home Depot, but I wasn't able to find 65.
But the other issue, it has to do with the way that some of these bulbs emit light. Depending on the fluorescent light, if it's not full spectrum, you might appear pink or green. And
That's dependent on your camera, though, Nathan. Sorry to interrupt there.
it's not entirely the camera. It also has to do with the fluorescent light, and that the camera's not able to compensate completely properly for it. Lighting is really critical, and if we don't have our lighting in the right way, we're going to wind up with all sorts of problems. I mean, my situation is not ideal. Part of it's coming through an orange curtain, which doesn't exactly make it perfect. But I'm on the road. What am I doing? What am I going to do? So there are limitations.
So lighting is also very critical in terms of if the lighting is really bad, your webcam or your camera struggles, which means it puts extra load on your computer.
Yeah.
And then that whole thing makes it really bad. So,
there is something else, and Jay mentioned it to do with the camera. If you start winding up in low light situations, one of the problems, it has to do with the sensor in the camera.
Yeah.
The sensors in the camera are designed for a certain range. If you start, like if you have a point and shoot camera as a case in point, and you go into low light situations, you're going to wind up with a huge amount of noise. And it's simply because the sensor can't process, it can't record the light properly. Now, there are some fixes for it, like long exposures and stuff like that, but they're not exactly perfect. And if you're dealing with a static environment, you can maybe deal with that, but not video. Video can be really, really dicey.
Well, and I can also tell you that I always check the camera before I ever start anything, because just for some reason it will take all it will go totally white, and so I have to go in and make a few adjustments so that it looks like normal skin color. So that's another piece we should have put in the pre-show. So okay, so we've talked about what goes on in terms of during. Is there anything, and I'm looking at the clock here, so is there anything in particular that we should be mentioning in terms of post-production? Fred?
I have to leave in the next couple of minutes, and I just wanted to bring back to this. What you've shown so far can be very scary for someone who's never done video. You're just told them all of the challenges they have, and you say, I'm never going to do that ever in my life.
Good point.
I need a studio like Jay, or I need these special lights. I don't even want to touch video. However, I would say in that regard, because I've been listening and I say, well, if I'm just the audience out there watching this, you can imagine what's going through their mind. But I want to bring back to something we did in a show before when we were talking about doing presentations, and it was called MASH-D. And I think we come back to all of this. What's the message? Who's the audience? That's important. We covered that. Any stories we can tell. and then any humor. And the last one was D, was distractions. And that's really what we've been concentrating on. We have lighting, we have sound, and we have video, and we have whole other technical issues that can happen. And we've covered so many that we can say it's scary. However, I'm in a situation such as Nathan, where I'm travel all the time. I cannot have a studio. I don't even have lighting right at the moment. I am sitting with my laptop on the back of a couch. I'm sitting behind the couch, and there's a window in front of me, and that's the only lighting I have. And I have to make do with it. So let's not get too involved, and let's just try and say, and that word do is the most thing. Just do it.
Yeah.
The more you do it, the better you get. Because if you start going, I got to buy this mic, I got to buy this light, I got to get this camera, we'll never do it. So just do it. What
I
you have.
agree.
Can I just speak to Fred for a second? Fred, I totally understand where you're coming from. You know, everything we've talked about can be very intimidating, but can I just make a little suggestion for you that could help? On Amazon.com, and I hate to tote these guys, but anyway, on Amazon.com, you can buy a little tiny mini tripod and stick your smartphone on it, hit go, and you can take it with you anywhere. So if that's something you want to consider, you can try that. And not to mention, the worst it's going to do is set you back 10 or 20 bucks. So you can give that a shot. And I do think, yeah, you're right. I mean, and the other thing too is not all of us are going to be interviewing people.
No.
Like for me, I would be doing how-to videos. So I use Screencast, I think it's called. It's only 15 bucks a year, and that's how I do my videos when I do them. So I
That's
just thought I'd
wonderful.
throw that out there.
You brought it right back to, let's just get something for $15, put our iPhone on it, and do it.
Yeah, just test it out and see how you do. And then you can always, when you're ready and you're in a better situation where you're, you know, around more or whatever, you're more in a stable place or whatever, then you can think about more
That's right.
expensive equipment.
And I would agree with everything Fred said.
And I'm going to have to leave. I have another meeting, so thank you very much. It's been
Thanks, Fred.
entertaining.
Bye, Fred.
Dear Fred.
Bye, Fred.
I agree,
Bye,
Alana.
Fred.
Just to speak to Alana, I totally agree, because listening today, like, I feel like, I mean, if I'm not going to go there, but I could think I could never, ever, I won't be doing that. I'm
No.
not that's just not my aptitude, I guess we could
Yeah.
say, my strength. But I do want to get out there, and I do want to begin posting weekly qigong, you know, even 3-minute movements, like a movement a week relating to the 5 elements, the seasons, and all that.
Yeah.
And if I had to go out and purchase all of those things, I'm just not in that position at this point.
No.
Not saying I
Well,
can't afford it. I'm just saying that's just not going to happen.
For what it's
So
worth,
I'm for simple, get simple and get it out there. And then, oh, gee, you know, as things begin to roll, then I can hire someone to help me. One of you guys to help me.
Well,
get,
and
you
it
know,
goes
set
back to
up.
what we said right at the very beginning. It depends on what your purpose is. You know, Alana, your purpose may be different than somebody else's or whatever. But at some point, I mean, we've been hearing for years, video is the future. They're all wrong. Video is here now. So
yeah.
I think the days of talking heads on TV, I mean, and that's still great, and that platform still works. I mean, we're using it right now. But I think the availability of free software to do something better now is going to make it
Better.
it's going to make it, well, first of all, easier for us to do something better and evolve with the technology to produce something better. And it might be adding multiple things together and learning multiple things, or in some cases, hiring somebody to do that. But
So,
And I think it kind of grows with your confidence level as well. I mean, you know, as Fred was saying, that equipment can be very intimidating to the beginner, but if you start out with something small and then, you know, you put out a few videos and you like it and you want better quality stuff, you go buy some better quality stuff. So
yeah, it's like, I always compare it to playing golf. When I started playing golf, it was something I wanted to do. I went out to Canadian Tire here in Canada. I bought the cheapest set of golf clubs. Didn't have the even clubs, didn't have a drive, it was a crap set of clubs. Once I learned the game a little bit and enjoyed it, and I took the extra expense to add a club to my bag, maybe a driver or maybe a better putter. And that's the way video can be. Start with what you have and add what you feel you need as you go along. Eventually, you're going to have enough stuff to put in a suitcase, and it's just one more bag, and now you're mobile.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
For what it's worth, being on the road, my system is super simple. I was using the laptop the camera in the laptop, but I just switched to an external one I have, which is a Logitech 9000. So it's an old camera, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
And my microphone is iRig Mic HD, which is sitting, ironically, Alana, you were talking about that little tripod. Guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got this little tripod, and I had to jury rig it with some tape on the top of the ball head, so I could stuff the this piece for my microphone in here. As you can see, it's a wee bit wobbly, but it works, and for being on the road is just fine. And so I have it off camera at an angle. Yeah, I learned about this when I was on Blab, so I don't need to use a pop filter. So that's about as jury rig, bush, whatever you want to call it, bush league as you call it, but it works. And I could have a nicer background, but a simple way of doing that is building one with PVC tubing, and but I didn't have the room in my luggage is what it came down to.
Yeah. So
there's only too much space.
Yeah, but the lesson here, I hope that we're not making it too complicated, but by just being aware of your lighting and the direction and the impact, and I mean some of those simple things, they apply to whether you're using the very minimal technology or whether you've gone the other end. The principles are still going to be the same. That you want to have good lighting behind you and in front of you, and all of. I mean, it's the principles are the important piece.
Yeah, and just go find out what the basic principles are, and then just try and keep that in your mind. The lighting, the location, this, that.
Yeah. So and it takes a certain amount of experimentation. So I mean, if a person is new at it and you want to try something, find one of us to come in on a session with you if you need that. I mean, that's what we're all here for, is to provide that kind of support. So
and the best training you can get is you can either watch 100 YouTube videos on how to do it,
just do it.
50 of your own. Exactly.
Just do it.
Don't have to publish them. Just do.
Yeah, start before you're ready.
Oh dear.
Can I jump in and say something quick here?
Please. Yeah. Go ahead.
So my system, my setup is the result of scaling the business over the past scaling the video part of my business over 6 years, right? I mean, I didn't walk into this.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it started out where I was actually, when I first rented this office, I was just in this room where I am now. And eventually I took over the whole place, so I now have the privilege of having a dedicated video room where I can paint my wall and my entire wall green, leave my lighting set up, and do what I want to do, make it as clean or as messy as I want, So it's a progression of the video work that I've done. I also get paid to do videos, so as a result of that, I'm trying to ensure that I'm delivering the best quality, best type of performance. So I hope I haven't discouraged anyone to do videos, basing it on my setup, right? So I mean, everyone's setup here is totally fine. So I mean,
your setup, Jay, is something I'm intimately familiar with, and when I wind up in a more stable situation, I'll be doing something very similar. Although I might not do green screen, I might do what I had before, which is I got some. I mean, it's hilarious, but it worked beautifully. Which was just getting a white bed sheet, literally a white bed sheet, top sheet, and then getting some nails and nailing the sucker to the wall so that it looked relatively smooth, and then having my lighting set up in such a way, very simple lighting thing with just a couple of lamps, literally,
Yeah.
desk lamps.
Yeah.
You mean like that?
Yeah, exactly what Bill has done. Thank you, Bill. Much appreciated. So, and it was like that. And what was really cool is that all these people thought I was sitting in a really nice, awesome studio. And I was talking with a buddy, Joel Calm. Some of you might know him. I was interviewing him, and we were doing this video and thing. He said, "Yeah, your studio looks great." And I said, "You wouldn't believe what I have." And I showed him. I said, "Oh, I'm so disappointed." It's just so
Yeah, you
funny.
should have said, "Oh, thanks, thanks, Joel."
What's that?
Appreciate it. You could have just said thanks, Joel, and moved on.
It was just, I just had to tease him. I mean, Joel's a friend of mine from years back. I met him at a conference, but
Yeah.
but,
Okay,
you know,
folks.
it can be that simple.
What
That's all.
about post? Is there anything we need to pay just before we close? Is there anything we need to cover in terms of once you've finished the video?
Good video.
You've just begun.
Yeah, no kidding. We should cover that
Perhaps-
next week.
Yeah, I was
Make
gonna
sure
say,
your
have something for
video
next-
description is appropriate.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
ne-
have to
that's
go.
yeah, me
I
too,
do.
actually.
All right.
But
So
that's
do.
week, Lola.
All right. We can we can just continue and say what do we do afterward. Okay. All right. So basically, I need to remind everyone. Thank everyone for a lively conversation this morning, and thank everyone for coming, and see you next week. And this is my reminder that it's important to do what you love with passion. Welcome to our Being Your Own CEO